600 cars. You're talking 600 cars a day on that short stretch of Buffalo Springs Road. And you know that I go over to see these stores. Yeah, and we're not developing these stores.
Right, 6. All right, everybody ready? It is 6 o'clock, May 6th, 2025. I call the City of Montgomery County Zoning Commission meeting to order. If we all rise to do pledges of allegiance. American flag first. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Okay. Let's see, are there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on any item other than what's on the agenda? Or an agenda item at that time? Nope. All right. We will move on to item 3, consideration and possible action by the Planning and Zoning Commission on a partial replat of Jaddock Manor, Section 1, Tract 2, located at 1005 College Street.
So first, this item in front of you today is, as you said, for the Jaddock Manor plat. If you look in your packets, you'll see a copy of a letter from myself on page 5. Recommending approval of the partial replat. If you look at page 6, you'll see the original plat. So this shows tract 2, as it is currently stands today, is a single tract that spans from College to Caroline Street. And then on the following page, you'll see the proposed tract split into 2. So one lot fronting Caroline, one front fronting College Street. One big thing I do want to point out is if you look at the very southern portion of Lot 2, the property owner is dedicating additional right-of-way. So Caroline Street is a 60-foot right-of-way for the most part. However, there's at this section it next down to closer to 40-foot. So they would grant that additional right-of-way, so it's a full 60-foot right-of-way, which will come into play here in a couple of these items. We don't have any objection to it, to the partial replat. The next steps after this is it will go to council on the 27th with your letter of either recommendation or not of the partial replat.
This is just a split of the property where the house is being built on Caroline. The same property, correct? You're splitting that 2 portions.
I make a motion that we recommend approval on the partial replat of Jaddock Manor, Section 1, Tract 2, located at 1005 College Street.
I second the motion.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion passes for the partial replat of Jaddock Manor, Section 1, Tract 2, located at 1005 College Street. Number 4, consideration of possible action by the Planning and Zoning Commission on the partial replat of Buffalo Springs, Section 2.
Again, so very similar to the last item, just a different location and slightly different tool what they're trying to do. So if you look on page 9 of your reports, you'll see a copy of the letter from us, again recommending approval of this partial replat. What this replat does is it takes what is currently lot 28, 29, and 30, and combines them and splits them into 2. So essentially lots 28 and 30 are developed, 29 is in between. Property owners are each taking 50% of that lot, give or take. So if you look in your package, you'll see the original plat, followed by the proposed partial replat showing the revised lot lines as shown on page 10 of your packets. So yeah, we've completed the reviews. They've met all the requirements and have no objection to this. Your approval or denial tonight will be a recommendation to council on their May 27th.
How does that affect the water and the sewer, or does it?
It doesn't.
Okay.
So the two houses exist, essentially this takes one house out of the ultimate of what will be developed in the neighborhood, but it doesn't have any impact on drainage or water systems. Those are the changes, just flip it off.
I make a motion, we recommend approval of the partial replat for Buffalo Springs, Section 2.
All second.
I have a motion and a second for the partial replat of Buffalo Springs, Section 2. All in favor, say yes. Yes. All opposed, say no. Motion passes for the partial replat of Buffalo Springs, Section 2. Move on to item 5, consideration of possible action regarding a proposal to make improvements to a property located at 602 College Street in the Historical Preservation District.
Page numbers. Sorry, the challenge here doesn't make it any easier with this laptop in front of me. Presenting 602 College Street, it's located in the residential zoning district and the historic preservation district. The applicant is here. If you have any questions for him, the applicant does propose to make improvements to the existing single-family dwelling, and the property will alter the appearance of the exterior elements, clearly visible from the public right-of-way. You'll see my findings on page 14, the applications on page 15. Some of the things that they'll be doing is residing the house, changing out the existing windows, the trims, the soffits, the eaves, the overhangs are also going to be changed. The main color of the house will also be changed. I don't know how well that the paint color had come through on the copies that you have, but I do have the paint chips if you'd like to see that.
Yes.
They'll be changing the porch, the decking on the porch, and adding fencing, a wooden privacy fence. Did you want to see those things? Rob?
Yes, please.
Trim, porch steps. This is the style that the German builder
The wood grain, yeah.
the style. And the same for the style.
So the color now is yellow,
Yeah.
and they're going to change it to this dark. Thank you.
The fence material, is that cedar? Is that, oh, it is cedar?
Yes, it will be cedar. It will have 50 poplar at the bottom. Sorry. I'm Judy Hudson. It will have a 6-inch poplar at the bottom, and it will be a privacy fence so that all, what you'll see from the outside is just going to be straightforward. You won't see like what we call the neighbor fence.
Okay.
So when it will run along, it will be along the property line.
The frontal pieces are, frontal fences are 4 foot, but still privacy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me what other fences are in that area? Are they assortment?
Yes. We have the recently approved white kind of picket that shows up in the front, but it's all the 6-foot-high wood privacy that's behind that. There are quite a few 6-foot-high wood privacy fences in that also. And then we have a chain link. And you need to see the site plan of where that fence is going to be. That is then I highlighted in green the wood deck that they would be changed. And you'll see that the two in the rear won't be visible from the right of way, just the one in the front.
I see the pink line going up to a certain point, and it appears that the driveway will be going to the privacy fence, and then what else is coming forward?
That's the house.
Okay,
So the fence actually stops just
right there? Okay.
behind, on the back side of the house.
And that privacy fence on the other side comes up to the porch.
Not all the way to the porch. The garage. On the east side of the property. It's just behind the garage.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed improvements at the property located at 602 College Street, Historic Preservation District.
Second motion.
Motion and a second for the improvements at the property 602 College Street in the Historical Preservation District. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, all against say no. Ayes have it. Motion passes for the improvements.
There were some that I did not vote. I'm a partial ownership in the house next door.
Well, okay. All except for John Fox, but motion still passes.
Right. I'm okay with it.
Okay.
He's just basically recusing himself.
For the improvements at the property located at 602 College Street in the Historical Preservation District. Okay, item number 6, consideration possible action regarding a proposed to install a roof over the existing patio at 1433 Liberty Street in the Historical Preservation District.
Okay, this one is, again, at 14335 Liberty Street. It's located in the B Commercial Zoning District and the Historical Preservation District. The property owner is here if you have any questions for him. He's proposing to remove the existing sunshade that's over the existing patio area and replace it with a clear hardtop or a corrugated roof. I did give a quick history on that. I don't know if you want me to read that out. So on November 7th, 2023, the Planning Commission considered the proposal to extend a front porch roof at 14335 Liberty. Staff did recommend not approving the roof extension because of Section 98-351 with a special setback provision. That was where if you're building new structures or making improvements in the historic district of the commercial area, on any building that faces Liberty, Caroline, Prairie, Main, Calhoun, John Mother, or College Street, and located between Highway 105 and north and Clever on the north, between State Highway 105 on the south. They would be required to adhere to the frontage setbacks that match immediately adjacent to the buildings or structures facing the same street. So the reason for that recommendation was because this would extend further into that front setback area rather than meeting what the adjacent building would have. So I included a copy of the 2023 agenda item and the meeting minutes for you to review, but I was unable to find any follow-up information if any other if the roof proposal that was tabled by the Planning Commission, if any further action had been taken on that. I didn't see anything.
No, I know we tabled the roof at that point just to get through the patio extension.
Yes.
And the required them to come back with better drawing, but that was never done, so that was kind of a null and void at that point. So, but the porch was, the extension of the porch itself was approved.
So I understand there have been some real estate transactions that have brought this property down to the point that it doesn't meet any parking requirements in section 98.287. Is that correct? So we have two or three things going wrong for us here. Is it doesn't meet parking, it doesn't meet the standard for the roofing, it doesn't meet the setback standard. So, it looks like it's gotten by a lot of barriers here.
Well, I think a lot of things on that side of the street has gotten by a lot of barriers. It's very inconsistent with what goes on the east side. Those are the buildings on the west side have been built back and forth with no rhyme or reason. As per the building code in the historical district, they're all kind of mismatched along there.
But you can't agree two wrongs don't make a right.
Well, no, but a lot of these were built, I don't know when all this was built, back before some of the codes came out. The only thing I'm looking at on this is, we're trying to make downtown look presentable. I feel, even though that, it is extending out, it's not going to be any higher than what's there now. It's not going to block any view of the H lines, the bank, and it's going to look a lot more presentable than a tarp shade and light shade. I mean, if we want to get Montgomery County the city of Montgomery looking somewhat consistent, I feel that putting the cover in the top of that, keeping all the decorative lights inside, underneath, and all the way allowing seasonal lights is going to make that little stretch look a lot more presentable, in my opinion, than a shade tarp.
And it will not extend any further beyond the existing fence that's already there, correct? It's just coming up to the existing patio fence, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's how.
How long after?
The other thing I'd like to see is, I know you're presenting all these exotic woods. I would rather see just either a black post or white posts. What's that?
It'll match the existing posts that are already there.
Okay, so I thought there was some ancient Asian in the letter.
Yes, that was one of the options for wood.
Okay.
And no, this is coming straight from Home Depot, I'm painted white. It's
Okay.
matching the building, no paint. no
Okay.
green. So it's an additional 4-4 posts, very simple, similar to like a pergola, where you're able to see the sun still coming through. This will help my tenants out and bring more customers to the city of Montgomery.
Right, well, I know it's, the restaurant is bringing a lot of people to Montgomery that wouldn't normally visit Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
I believe it's going to dress up downtown quite a bit.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't know what the code is on a shade tent.
It just has to be removable. Back in the day, when I put it up, they just had to be removable.
Right.
And so they were clips on there to not be a permanent structure.
Right.
And that's what that is right now. But you can take it down if the wind comes up, if need be.
Right. Well, as long as the party lights are not there, everything, the lighting is underneath the cover, seasonal lighting is okay. Well, I mean, that's my viewpoint on
Well, my concern is how long after that's put up does it get wrapped in plastic, just like they did at Crawfish Kai against the regulations?
Well, that's when,
I mean, you got the...
Can I address that?
Yes.
I believe y'all did address it, and he did take it down after the 30 days, so.
Yeah, he kept dragging it on. I
I understand, and so I'm saying.
that is the biggest eyesore I've ever seen in that area. And he did it 2 years in a row. Now, how long is it going to take before he does it?
We're fixing that problem now. With that hard copy, the hard top, we'll put the clear
Some
top.
of us will close it in for the winter, for the cold weather.
If we do anything, we're going to P&Z to get any type of approval. I spoke to the bill, he's made sure not to build any structures behind it. I've learned my lesson the first year I was here, so I think we're in good company here. We're going to follow the rules. That's why we're here today, to follow the rules and hopefully get your blessing and continue to make Montgomery just as charmed as it was when I got here. But our structure would be more aesthetic, I think, to the community or to the people coming and going, and also to my tenants. They lose money when it rains. And so having a hard top on top will help with the rain, and you guys would be helping our community as well, because we want more people coming into the restaurant, coming into Montgomery.
But by the same premise, they lose money when it's cold.
You got years. And again, if we do anything outside of what we're doing, we'll be coming back here to get another permit or do something else. This is the first stage. Just get a hard top on it, get rid of the windsill, and we baby step this thing. And if you don't like it, then you can reject if we decide to put clear plastic windows. But that's not, we're not even there. All we're asking for is a hard top, just to keep the rain off the tables and all that stuff, because there is limited seating inside. And so.
On the, if you're facing it on the left-hand side, I believe there's kind of like a little countertop type of situation going on where people can sit. Is that it? You have that, is that where other people can sit too? You have the front portion, you're talking about the roof coming out the front, right? So we're not going to cover over here, okay?
Just the front, just to get that sail, that wind sail out of there, and actually paint the posts, make it look more structurally sound and not just, a shade screen.
Tell me,
I think you'll be pleased with it. I really do. I mean, obviously, at the time, we were trying to accommodate the customers that were coming at the time to Waynesville, Montgomery, and we're evolving. So things are changing, obviously. And so we're respecting the P&Z community here. We're not doing anything rogue.
Can I ask you, sir, there's 2 different locations that restaurants, existing restaurants have been in. One near the post office in the strip center. It's been sitting vacant for 4 years. Over there, it's
Oh, yeah.
been a restaurant. Plus the Pizza Shack building itself and vacant. Why are we trying to make this one work so haphazardly when there are places available to conduct your business and decorate any way you want?
I think that's just your perspective, but our perspective is we like the town of Montgomery here, and that particular area is not, you see restaurants come and go out of that place, and the rent is high, the buildings are older, and look at Uncle Bob's, he's not there. Look at the Pizza Shack.
We need to get back on track of why they're here.
Right.
Plastic.
Yeah.
That was something we should have had a long time ago.
Yeah, thank you.
We need to get back on track.
Thank you.
I need to know the corrugated clear you're talking about. Is there a gauge or a meal or what are we talking about? You know how the clear corrugated, some of it's flimsy, some of it's not.
Correct, it's a snap-on clear top, and it's a clear top.
So you're getting it from Purple Leaf or you're getting it from Home Depot, but you don't know what the meal is? Like you don't know the thickness?
No, I do not. It's similar to a pergola. It's a clear top. You do a pergola, but it's that top that snaps together.
I'd like to know the grade, the meal, the gauge, or whatever it is that you're putting on there. If this is approved, then our recommendation, before you actually put it up, I would like to see it written, what the gauge is on it. Because you can do this with a plastic one, or you can do this.
So then this is the other thing, is when we build this, it's going to be structurally sound, safe, and a licensed contractor. I'm not doing it, so we're relying on a contractor to professional job and making sure that the corrugated roof is secure, because that's what it's designed for, is a structural roof. And that's what it is.
Ms. Tilly, so that's one of my, yes. But I would like to know what the gauge, the bill, or whatever that is, because it comes in different strengths, I guess is the word I'm trying to search for. Also, too, have we addressed the parking in front of there? You're going to put a permanent roof on it, or you're asking for a permanent roof, and then we have a setback, and then you have the steps that walk in there.
There's no steps.
In the drawing,
Just step up.
at least
That's that whole drawing.
Just steps up onto the porch.
So wait, are we looking at old drawings for the approval?
No, that was when my contractor created at that time.
So the current picture of it
But
on,
there's not going to be an awning out going past it. It's going to stop at the actual corner of the post of the fence that you guys already approved, the railing or whatever. It's going to stop right there. It's not going to go extend
so people walk in from the front? Can they walk
on the side.
on the side? So you're gonna put a railing up on the front there?
There is already.
There already is one.
Already a rail.
And there's no steps there?
No, it's that railing goes straight.
That'll go straight.
Okay.
He's right.
All right. So I'm just looking at a picture.
The current roof comes down 12 foot, and you're going to 14 foot, 6 inches?
No, I'm going to each post on each corner, and I'm not going any further. There's no extension over the roof. There's no, if a vehicle pulls up, it's not going to have any type of extension stopping at the post at the end of the day. That's it.
Okay, because the drawing shows that the existing one is 12 foot out, and it says you're going to build a hardcover.
Okay, are you talking about the existing, going off of the existing?
Yeah.
There's an overlap, yes. There's an overlap of the original, yes. Of the existing roof, yes. There's an overlap there. Also,
you
I
take
thought you were
it-
talking about coming off the street.
You take it off the old one and put this whole new one on.
No, we're matching the same roof color as what's on the existing.
They're stepping down at the connection, about 6 inches from the existing front canopy, step down to the new.
We're just replacing the canopy. We're not doing any other structure to the building. We're just replacing that canopy and putting the arch off on top.
Okay, so on my drawings, I show steps. I'd like a current drawing, and I want to know the bill and the gauge, and I also want to know from the new portion of it, what is the actual footage of the new corrugated roof you're going to put? It says 18 by 24. Is it going to be 18 feet
18 by
long?
24, yes, ma'am.
I just don't know how far that
That
brings
doesn't
it
match the
out.
drawings.
It doesn't bring any further out what the post, the railing
It's
is
up to
now.
the post, okay.
It's not going to extend anything
No, it doesn't want to be
beyond where it is right
Just
now.
replacing the canopy that's already there, that area right there, just to keep that covered. We're going to get rid of the metal posts and actually put the same structure beams that were on the original posts that are existing and use those. And there are metal posts that hold the wind cell, or you want to call it, the string.
So Tilly, you will be there whenever to inspect,
The building inspector will be there to inspect.
okay? And we're in correspondence with the building inspector? Okay. You understand that if we say yes to this, when you go to decide during the winter or the cold or the heat, that you have to come to P&Z before you put up plastic windows or plastic on there?
That's my understanding from, I guess, when y'all had that issue in February, I wasn't aware of that issue. And so, that being said, I was informed by it, and they said they weren't going to do it. They had informed me that there was a concern about that. That was, I guess, towards the end of February, March, or something like that.
But you understand now?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm the building owner. I'll take responsibility for that, and I'll just be honest with you, I wasn't made aware of it at the time, and, you know. But that being said, we're following the rules here. We're trying to do what needs to be done.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal to install a roof over the existing patio area at 14335 Liberty Street. There's a few contingencies on here, though. One, that appropriate building and trade permits must be approved and issued prior to commencement of any work. the thickness and/or product data of the plastic materials provided to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Make sure.
And that you do not extend anything beyond the existing. I know you're not planning to, but just I want that to be clear. When I
And I'll do the new drawing
without the steps,
yeah,
please.
without steps, so y'all can see. When that was created, this was, obviously, y'all had this table since November, and so
Yeah,
this was all, this is not anything new, we just kind of the rains come and all this, and April rains, May rains, this just came into motion, so, but that being said, what you guys need, like I said.
Other than what Daniel added, I would like to see any of the lights mounted to the underside of the structure.
No draping?
No draping,
Okay.
except seasonal lighting like we allow the rest of town, so.
What kind of lights were you?
The party lights, the draping party lights, I'd like to see if there's going to be any lighting at all, be hard mounted underneath deck side, so there's no
All
draping.
you'll see is the actual.
All you'll see is the light.
Not the
Yes,
fixture.
yes. And then other than seasonal lights.
Color of the lights.
Well, Christmas, well, I mean, white light, I mean, it'll just be more likely white lights.
Right now,
The heat.
they're patio lights as
Yeah,
well, they're now.
right.
And so what we would do is plate all that up, none of that would be hanging down, we'll tighten it up and make sure, as far as lighting, we haven't even gotten that far, we were just getting the cover structure, we can address that as well, when we do demo, not demo, but take down that screen.
Right.
then we'll-
Yeah, if we're going, we're approving this, I want to see a good product. I don't want to approve this and then we go sideways.
Then you're going to replace the wings over
That's an old.
the sign? Oh, that was the old one.
That's the old meeting.
No, I think we're talking about the roof.
Sir?
Okay.
Yeah, the sign currently says Crawfish Sky above the building.
Yeah, I've already,
Yeah.
changed, this is just that hard copy that you released in November, and we were just trying to restate it, I think that you got tabled, and so all we were doing was
When you start,
since you approved it, very good.
As soon as we get the information right,
Yeah,
and you get.
you already have the permits?
no,
Okay. How long does the permit take?
Depends on how long we can receive it. I haven't
Okay.
received it yet, and then
So,
Fifth gauge, step revised.
Okay.
All that for the roof and all
Okay.
that's here.
Thank you.
So just one more question on that. Since this is a.
So if you approach the microphone so we can give you an audio.
Since this is a more permanent drainage, so I don't know how.
Oh, the gutters.
We'd like to see how the water's going to run off of that onto either the neighboring property or where.
So right now it's all running towards 149, correct?
and then it rolls down towards 105.
Yeah, and so right now, originally with the steps in there, I was concerned with it running off that direction. If everybody's already walking around it, I'm not personally, feel free to disagree with me, but not personally, I'm not as concerned about it. I didn't want to fall on people as they're trying to walk into the building.
Right.
That was my main concern.
Yeah, I think that taking steps away from that front says help the safety hazard of people walking out into the street, because that gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so.
Are you going to put gutters?
And,
Are you going to put gutters? Or are you going to let it just fall?
I guess that, all we were doing was the top, we didn't discuss any gutters. If that becomes a problem, then we would obviously come to you guys, and I think we're paying, we put gutters on the side and run it. That's what just trickle off it's just gonna slope. It has to slope.
Yes.
The water running off the second roof, and then the second roof has to slope down to the street. It's gonna do the same thing it's doing. It was originally hitting the net, and then going to the deck, and then running to 149, and then going towards the flare.
Yeah. Without the overhang though, that we're not going to have, right?
Correct.
It's going to become pretty much straight down on your handrail, right?
Straight up.
Pretty close to it?
Front edge, yes, sir.
Okay.
It's gonna run on the front edge and then run that way. It's off the slope.
And we'll be looking at that, right, Tilly? The way the water's coming off and drainage and making sure it's safe, okay? I believe Dan's made a motion.
Okay, we have a motion for the approval of, for the installation of the existing patio area at 14335 Liberty Street in the Historical Preservation District with notes on what it needs to see the gauge of the roof material, the step drawing, the front drawing, steps revised showing no steps, all lighting to be under the deck other than seasonal lighting, that the structure is going to stay inside the railings or at the railings where it is now, and all trade permits and approvals through the city, and inspections through the city.
I will second it.
Oh, yeah.
I will second it for a bit.
You'll second?
I'll second because he did.
You did, okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no.
No.
Okay. Motion passes 3-2 with the, do I need to restate all those?
No, we've got it.
You have it?
Member Fox and Commissioner Member Childs.
Okay, all right. So the motion passes for the installation of the roof over the existing patio at 14335 Liberty Street in the Historical Preservation District.
Thank you. You're good.
Appreciate it.
Number 7, consideration and possible action regarding a request for a special use permit to place a temporary construction sales trailer on a residential lot located at 235 South Rose Marie Lane in the hills of Town Creek, Section 5 subdivision.
So this one is a special type of construction or sales trailer. It's going to be there for at least a year, possibly longer, depending on how long it takes for their sales or model homes to get built. So the reason for the special use permit is that it's temporary, it's going to be on a residential lot at 235 South Rosemary Lane in the Hills of Town Creek Section 5 subdivision. I believe I forgot too, because this might help you see exactly the location. If it's okay, I'm going to hand out this plat map. The yellow highlight indicates the location of that sales trailer.
No, I got an extra one here. As a special use permit, does it require a public hearing?
Yes, sir.
So what we're recommending is a public hearing. If we approve.
Yes, this recommendation will go to City Council. City Council will call for a public hearing, and then the public hearing will take place. And that's when the approval will occur.
Has any other developer asked for a sales trailer? They have.
I don't know if
Have they
sales
been-
trailer, I mean, we've had construction trailers, and that's on, I think the last one that I saw was on Home Depot. They had a construction
Yeah,
trailer,
yeah,
and
commercial.
that's commercial property.
Correct.
So what this is a residential lot that's going to have like a commercial use on it. They aren't going to live there. They're just using it as an office. So it's an office on a residentially zoned lot, staying there for not temporary, which would be 180 days or less, but longer than that, almost a year.
What are they doing for water and sewer?
Well, what is it called? The utilities are already there at that location, so they would have to make application for any temporary taps possibly.
So to answer your first question, Town Creek Crossing had a temporary trailer that wasn't built for model homes.
But nothing came in front of us for that.
So if we went through the administration at the time, used the construction trailer section of the ordinance that doesn't require require a special use permit. So that's how we go. And there are other, other discussions with other developers on sales trailers on all new single family that's coming in. So this is the first time I've seen it, but likely not the last time I've seen it, because there's questions already.
So is this going to be sodded and landscaped?
Yes, you'll see the plans there. It's a little bit rough.
Yeah, it shows all the sign.
How long does it take from the those homes to be a year out with,
Page 62.
Okay.
They're going to,
What,
they're going to propose kind of a temporary monument sign there, the typical K-Hub type of monument sign.
typically, how long does it take to build that size home? 6 months?
6 to 8 months.
6 to 8
Like 2,000 square foot on
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 months.
And we're going to set a precedence here, too.
Yeah, do good.
What's that?
Yeah, do
We only have like 5 or 6 plots after this to look at.
Yeah, we're in a race to see how fast we can develop Montgomery.
Well, you have Redbird that's developing and they don't have these.
No, they do not. No, they do not.
What's that?
Well, now it's Briarly, but Redbird does not have one on there either.
So you say there will be,
They have a larger.
there will be
Yeah.
restrooms in the building?
Yeah, there's one in there.
Okay.
I guess that'd be my question. Do they plan to use temporary utilities or do they plan to use city utilities? Because I mean, construction trailers, sales trailers, however you want to say it, could go both. Could go either way. You can tie into existing, or you can tie into, you can have potable water outside, and you can have utility tanks outside. I'd rather not have temporary tanks outside because they smell horrible when they're cleaned. So for the residents surrounding them, I don't think they'd appreciate that. But I guess that'd be my question. I don't see that necessarily answered here.
For the taps.
The taps, what their plans are.
So the utility lines are already in there, in place?
Yeah, it would make sense.
This is a quite common practice all over this market area. It's done everywhere. I think Chris will tell you the same thing. It's not uncommon.
So there will not be any, well, I can't, retract my thought, never mind, because I said, there's a house being next, building right across from our place that has the portable toilets.
What this does is set an expiration date. What it does is set an expiration date for that trailer. Because you'll see that there are 3 trailers, for example, that are outside of the water system that I think have been there for years.
So, okay.
Have they requested a certain duration? You said minimum 1 year, but
At least a year.
At least,
at least, yeah, that's the,
there's no end date.
But that's for you to
Yeah.
set. Because you can do that on a special use permit.
Doesn't Briley have model homes tied into temporary water and sewer?
Not yet.
I mean, that's what we
There
approved.
was a trailer there, but
That's
it's gone.
for the motor trailer. It's there are more motor trailers coming as well to get to the election cycle for mud districts that are being created. To answer your question, Riley, they have been approved to start their model homes, but not get tapped on those model homes.
Okay.
Until utilities, they're just, actually, we had a meeting with them last week, I think they were pouring the first slab, so they have some time to go. They did mention this same sales trailer concept because their builders are asking them. They have a lot of builders out there. So again, this is number one, but not necessarily. Okay. And I agree with John's comment, this is a common. Sales trailers to get started and until the model homes are there in place.
I make a motion that we recommend to City Council approve the special permit under the city's rules, which which means open.
Do you have a recommended duration you want to put on?
I mean,
Let's just make a suggestion.
let's put 1 year. From what point? I mean, from what point?
From 1 year from the date of installation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
1 year from the date of installation.
Yeah, I'll modify my motion. I recommend approval of the special use permit to place a temporary construction trailer for a period not to exceed 12 months after installation.
I'll second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve, or pass on to the city council the special use permit for temporary construction trailer for a duration of 1 year after installation at 235 South Rose, Marine Lane, in the Hills of Pine Creek, Section 5. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Number 8, discussion of villages of Montgomery development status and next steps.
So the next two items are both related to the village of Montgomery development. So back in September of last year, the feasibility study was completed for this. This is the property directly across the street on 105 between College and Caroline, at the end of those streets. So first two items for you tonight. First item is discussion and updates on the status of development. So before we get too far, there's a video the developers put together, kind of flagging the current plans for the project, the overall layout. They're here to answer questions, to talk about the product that they're looking to put on the property. I'll then come back and talk about kind of where they stand with the MOU for development agreement with the city. And then the last part of this will be the next agenda item on requested variances. So if you want, the video.
Does that screen work?
The only one is that way, there's no audio.
Don't make it.
Sit down, Bill. Come on.
Too comfortable back there.
We'll take a minute.
You got a new chair, nice chair.
It's only a minute and a half.
That's a proposed restaurant on the lake.
So, Parkside Capitals here, so as a reminder, back in September, Dead Point was the developer project. Dead Point was Great Point is still involved in the proposed builder of these homes, but all overall development, or do an overview of the major on that. And we'll go through the next one. So, we all have questions right up front that I can answer.
Can you state your name for the record?
I'm from Jerry Grushko with Parkside National.
back from the fronts where 25 foot is required, is there going to be sidewalks in front of these houses?
Sidewalks, yes. Yeah, we're going to do sidewalks, it's going to be alley loaded, is what we're hoping for, the three-car garage. Again, that's going to be Tom and Grace Point's group. Project Capital was brought into this development to do the entitlement work, make sure that the water sewer drainage is up to snuff, help get in with the mud, get it annexed into the city. I think the mud's already annexed, but we want to annex this property as well. Do the entitlement work, and then we then release the lots to Grace Point, and then hopefully another builder in tow, which is weekly, which all y'all know is a very high quality build as well. So.
We discussed this once before. I raised the point of the alleys, and one of the things I would like to see is that as a developer, you set the covenants and restrictions, which the HOA ultimately winds up having to comply with. I would like to see the covenants and restrictions come out with no parking in the alley.
Okay.
Because if there's any parking in the alley, as narrow as it is, the homeowners are going to have a lot of heartache. But you can solve that problem up front by putting in the covenant restrictions, no parking in the alleys.
I think it's something that makes one of that. I think it makes perfect sense. I think it makes sense from that standpoint also.
I'm a president of that HOA, I know.
So I'm assuming that due to the size of the lots and the elevation of the properties you're going to build here, that the street is going to be the primary drainage facility. Where are you going to drain all this water to off of such a tight complex?
Yeah, I believe that's right. We've got John earlier here, who's the engineer on the project, but I believe that's right. Getting into the draining, the sheet flowing down into the streets as well as something on that.
Sure. So we're not fully designed yet. We haven't completed the drainage impact analysis. We're just waiting for, get through a few of these approvals before we start sitting into the city engineer for review. But of course, we have our detention mitigation facilities. You saw the lake, which is anticipated to be kind of amenity pond feature for the overall developer or development along with commercial. It's kind of in the center of the property as a bridge, so they kind of go and sheds both directions. So we have detention facilities on both sides.
How large is that lake? Do you know?
Yeah, it's around 7 acres.
Okay.
The biggest one, there's three. There's two that's required, and then there's an next one.
Yeah, I think there's one on the east side and the south side that would show us detention in the lane plan, but it's likely that we don't need that as a detention facility, so that can actually be turned into a park or another amenity. To answer your question, Mr. Fox, so the lots will drain forward, so we'll have to drain forward to the streets, and the streets will be your conveyance, so we'll design all the storm sewer to be able to convey all of, at least 100-year detention facilities. Detention facilities will mitigate the 100-year flow back to the development.
On your alleyways, please, like the gentleman said down there, these HOAs, except for the brunt of what you don't do, we have some here in town with rear loading situations and with square corners. Cars don't turn square corners. We need at least an 8-foot apron on those driveways.
Yeah, so we'll make sure that, I can't remember exactly the size of these alleyways on the top of my head, but we'll make sure they have an appropriate radius, maybe a 20-foot radius would be good to be able to make those turns.
Good.
And there's some circulation for them to be able to get out on both sides, so they're not going to be trapped.
Well, there'll be enough driveway, as was mentioned, there'll be enough driveway for the cars to park on the driveway between the face of the garage and the alleyway.
Yeah, so I think talking with the home builder, what they're expecting to do is a three-car garage plus a driveway. So I think
So you have enough driveway to park.
yes, I believe so.
Yeah, at least that's what we've seen, is a driveway leading up to the garage on the backside.
Okay.
And, so we do have, there are two different products that are proposed in this. There's the alleyway product and the traditional product. So the alleyway product would have that three-car garage. The driveway in the rear, and the traditional lot would have the driveway in the front.
Another thing we've learned the hard way is that in building the townhouse, similar patio homes, close together is the elevations of the entire neighborhood. So I don't want that's a stair step. Would you please engineer it horizontally as well as vertically to make sure that it all looks right when it's all said and done?
Yeah, especially with how we we had to transition from lot to lot. It is laid out where the streets do go along with Concord, so you can set down reasonably. Reasonably transition, you get about 6 to 9 inches to finish floor, finish floor. When you start getting up above that, and obviously the lot gets a little bit tight. So we get that's what we're doing.
Okay.
One other question on the 10-foot setback on the alley houses. Is the sidewalk a part of that 10-foot setback? In other words,
It's on the street side. It'll be in the right way.
but it'll be in that 10-foot.
That'll be on the right way.
Oh, so the 10-foot setback comes from the sidewalk to the house?
Yeah, so you have the right way line, you have the lot, the 10-foot house, and the sidewalk will be on the side.
Gotcha.
I'm going to ask a question you probably can answer. I seen a lot of trees in that video. A lot of trees. A lot of trees in that neighborhood. Are you doing a cool ranch tree stuff? Is there irrigation coming in? You putting it in the front yard, the backyard, you leaving some trees? Because, man, that's a beautiful piece of property you're fixing to.
That's right. So one thing, hopefully over the time, with this being my first development within the city of Montgomery, is Parkside is known for doing meaningful development. We take the extra, this might sound cliche, we take the extra step, and one way to prove that is we're getting actual tree survey done on the property now to see if there's any big live oaks or something we can save, be hardwood basically, right? Underwoods, but we can save hardwood here and there, we're going to, and we want to incorporate that within the city, but also because we're trying to incorporate this piece of property and marry it into downtown, with the type of development that it is, where it's, walkability, golf cart ability, all the things, and create the amenity of the parks, and it's not just going to be a hole around, it's going to be a detention park with some other uses than just containing water. We're going to walk trails and all the things. You saw the Esplanade there. It's very, very heavily landscaped and amenitized as well. And I think this product calls for that, and there's a reason all those trees are in that.
Yeah, I seen it and I was like, we see a lot of pictures. People bring us lots of pictures. And then we go look at it.
So if you want to take a field trip, we'll go to the city of Katy and we'll show you a couple of developments we've done there. And I think that video will tie really well into what we've done in other places.
What y'all doing, Katie?
We're currently doing Katy Court, Katy Hawk cut off to Clay Road. And we're doing the second phase of the legacy approved Katy Court. We're turning that 52-acre detention pond into a park that connects to all the other parks in the city of Katy. So
You're going to have these sidewalks connect to Blake Park?
one time.
He said,
Yeah, the sidewalk next to the side park.
Yeah, that's right. So the hope is we can take it from our neighbors to the north, bring it down through our park, come through the Esplanade, come on the backside of the light commercial that we're going to have there, take it all the way to the east side of the park, and then the existing park that's there with the pavilion as well, and it just connects everything connects into, the downtown area. Sounds good.
What you said was it Katy Park?
So Katy
Katy Park on Clay?
It's off of Clay and Katy Hawker Road, Katy Hawker Cutoff Road. That's a 52-acre detention pond we had to do there.
What's that?
52-acre detention pond we had to do there to catch all the sheet flow off the road fields, but it's over the tank. I mean, that's one thing about that is we want to be good neighbors and developers, but kind of overshoot everything.
Any potential commercial clients you've talked to?
Wait.
At least what types you're
It's going to be more in line, aesthetically it's going to tie into what you've kind of done already, to a degree, but it's going to be more professional type retail. It's not your typical strip retail. It'll be...
Like, it's not going to be nails and tanning
Yeah, we don't need any of that.
and tattoo.
Yeah, doctors, attorney offices, that kind of stuff.
We're going to have the heavy commercial to the east where it's going now, and this is still, it wouldn't look right if we had the development we're doing and then had some big retailer commercial in front of us. It doesn't go along with the project.
Right.
Kind of within itself.
It creates value for both commercial and residential, so
Exactly.
selling out local homes, you got to have something nice at the door.
So you're driving down 105, and are you going to be able to pull into those commercials? Are we going to, what road are we going to use to get in to the commercial?
So you have the main entry off of 105, and be a boulevard,
That one?
into the residential. And that's actually, so, as you know, Texas going to come in and do a raised median, that's actually at a median cut, it's right across the street from the Lone Star Concord Church exit. So that'll be a median cut into that facility. There's likely going to be a couple other curb cuts along commercial. They may just not have the median cut for the left in and left out. And then it'll connect off of College, Carolina. Not College. We're not doing College. And so we're connecting to Caroline, and then we'll actually, so Shepherd actually, it's kind of widened out, and then it kind of necks it down. So we'll actually go ahead and expand Shepherd all the way to 105 so we'll get that improvement.
So what's the parking going to be as far as going to the commercial buildings or commercial?
Be front-loaded parking, like you know, front-loaded parking all the way.
So it's going to be all like,
It would circulate around the entire building, more like with islands, you know, for landscaping.
And there's a little cross connectivity through the commercial as well.
Yeah, you don't want people going out on 105 and coming right back in.
So there'll be landscaping, like a sidewalk, and then landscaping, here's 105, there'll be a sidewalk and some landscaping, kind of like the park.
There may not be sidewalks on 105.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to.
Sidewalks off of 105.
Yes.
It's likely that you have the parking up against 105
Yeah.
with your islands, drive out,
Okay.
parking building, and then you have the cross connectivity, you know, commercial parcels. They haven't laid all that out completely yet. Ritter did a good job.
Kind of like in front of Starbucks and Panda Express, is that what you're thinking about?
Similar, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's outside, you know.
So TxDOT, in the TxDOT improvements package, they have sidewalks at least, I think it's a 10-foot wide shared use path on the south side of 105. I can't remember what they have proposed on the north side, but there would be some pedestrian access, so we wouldn't need shared use paths on both sides of the street. So at least in the TxDOT has shared use paths on the south.
Oh, okay.
All the way from Shepherd to High School.
Because it sure would be nice to do what, you know, they kind of sit back on 105, even though we have those big box places, but at least it's green, you know, and possibility of a tree growing maybe.
yeah, you're not going to just see a concrete field.
No, not a concrete field,
There'll be landscaping between.
but you understand, but I mean, in front, like Starbucks and Panda Express and,
Yeah,
that's nice.
developments how to meet your ordinance in terms of like shrubbery and parking lot trees and all that. I think I was just agreement with that a little bit.
Does that fall in? Are we out that way where we can, that's an ordinance? Okay.
Yeah, it's citywide.
It's, okay.
Chris, is the widening of 105 going to affect this at all?
I don't believe that they were taking additional rentals.
Cheatham was talking to
I know that there were certain sections, so like,
there's no time.
it keeps on moving. So yes, it will affect the write-up, it will affect the project. It sounds like it's already been considered. As far as the timing goes, I think now, I don't have my meeting report in front of us, but it's 27.
27, 28 for 105, yeah.
But it's all in different phases and it moves depending on the capacity. So.
Okay, well, if they take some of your CNET, so be sure and incorporate more dirt and green and trees. Just, it's on record,
Shortest parking spots.
yeah.
The good thing is,
Tell the trucks to park in the back.
the good thing is we're on the same page in that regard. We're all local. We want to see the right thing happen here.
Yeah, because it's,
And these guys, that's why we're partnering with these guys, because they know what they're doing. They prove themselves. So, and, yeah, the product that we're trying to market is not to sell us and stuff, right?
And who's building the homes? Y'all building?
Grace Point, and hopefully we're thinking David Weekly as well.
Okay.
So,
So the quality.
Well, yeah, but it'll be 800,000.
and it's not gated. It's not gated.
This will bring up.
Thank you for doing that.
What's that division? What's that division look like? Out of curiosity, Chris, that division, is there currently like an estimated, like? Okay. I wasn't sure if it was that interior alley type was one.
No, yeah, and that would be it's going to
Okay. No, I like what you're like.
yeah, no, they'll break it up, because you're going to have the same house.
Variances? There's no action yet?
On this one, what we just did, where they are, the process,
Sorry.
discussed the draft MOU, which is in your packets. They authorized going forward with finalizing that MOU. It was just in the draft form at that time. The main points of that MOU, which is in your packet starting on page 68, it talks about the price point of homes, which are north of $700,000, ranging from 45 by 110 to 50 by 100, depending on where in the land plan. It talks about the proposed variances, which we'll talk about here shortly. They would likely join, petition to annex into an existing MUD or create a new MUD. That discussion's ongoing. They would perform the required water and sewer improvements. The sewer improvements that are mentioned on here, this was looked at a handful of times. Essentially created Abbey Sewer along 105 right now with the Solomon Electric building is, which would remain as part after this project, which is surrounded. There's a little grinder pump station there that the city has to maintain, so that would be able to get rid of. Jonathan mentioned Shepherd Street, so they would pick up and develop that corner at Shepherd, and so they would finish the improvements of Shepherd Street, which was part of that development agreement.
Is that houses going there?
Yes.
There are good houses up against there?
Yeah, the road they essentially continue those west side of the park. College Street will not be connected to, that was a big thing from council. So it'll just be Caroline Street and then access on the 105. And those are the main items to the agreement.
Is there any plans on upgrading Caroline Street?
We haven't gotten to that point of the agreement, so I think that, there will have to be a look, especially from there to Shepherd, because that's probably where a lot of traffic's going to go more to Houston. But that hasn't been put to the agreement at this point.
That's going to be a busy street too, with the kiddos coming out from the park. I noticed a lot of people are unloading their babies from their car seats, putting them in the strollers, and you know what I mean? Like, and if everyone's coming out.
Definitely with the timing, and as we get further into the basin development, understanding when the connection to 105 is going in, so we're not, people are going to 105 and not through Shepherd and through down.
Okay, all right.
So I know the intent here is for, they mentioned development to the north, so that's the Legacy Grove development. Looking, and I think they're in talks with TriPoint, they're trying to provide some connectivity across the creek for pedestrians, golf carts, et cetera, to be able to get kind of access downtown without having to get on the 105.
Because the road on the other side of the park where there is no parking,
Yes.
that is a nice sized road. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be comparable if they could do it over here. On the other side, yeah.
Where it currently gets, on Shepherd Street, where it gets skinny, is we'll widen it out so it's the full width.
Okay.
So there's enough room for some parking and still have access. So again, no action on this item, this is more of an update. The MOU is in the works. Next item, we're all ready for jump on that, which is the actual variances themselves and discussion and recommendation so they can move forward with their development here. Because obviously, proposing the $700,000 homes on 50-foot lots, alley load, small setbacks.
Chris, are you looking on number 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Introducing.
Yeah, I was just saying, which one are we on?
I'll wait for Chris to get that.
Let's get any questions on the development as a whole and MOU.
We will move on to item number 9 now. Consideration and possible action by the Planning and Zoning Commission to make recommendations to the City Council for various requests related to the required minimum lot size, frontage, and side yard setbacks for the villages of Montgomery development.
David pretty well talked about it, but you'll see listed on page 85 of your packets. There are sections of variances that are looking for variances for the setbacks on the side yards, front yard setbacks, the total lot area at 4,950 square feet from a 9,000 square foot minimum, and minimum lot width of 45 to 75. This is very different product than we are used to seeing, different style homes, different size homes. I mean, they're still, the race west side here today, but I think they're saying 3,000 to 4,000 square foot homes package, you see the request for the variances, the reasoning behind it. Obviously, we spent a lot of time talking through the actual product itself. And so what this would do is this would allow them to consider the plan approval. This just tells them that yes, the variances are approved. They still have to get a development agreement in place, but you'll have to, we still go to council, but the deal is this development is contingent upon these variances, so try to get ahead of it early.
Is the intent for these variances to be used on all the homes or specific, I mean, obviously some will be used on all of them, the lot width and depth and all that, but the setback specifically, is that going to be intended to be used on all the homes or specifically the alleyway ones?
Just on that.
So, yeah, the side, rear, and minimum lot sizes are going to be for all, but specifically the 10-foot front is only on the outlet.
Okay, thank you. I just was curious on the distinction.
So these variances, do we need to go separately or this one group?
I think we're pretty far from really, we need a little more information here to come up with these variances. If we can get some more drawings or something to go by here.
So my understanding is that they pretty much needed these variances in order to put together the plat, because right now they just have ideas of what the number of homes and that they'll be able to put on there once they have these variances approved. They can put a plat. We'll still get to see that plat at the end of the day.
Correct.
And so that's why I'm more open to it, because ideally when we have seen variances, we have seen it with the plat most of the time. So when I saw this initially, I was like, well, I feel like I'm putting the cart before the horse, but I do understand the situation. It does pretty much change the entire business outlook of the project if you can't have these variances.
And currently, we require that on the preliminary plats, they have those variances, because we're not going to bring all preliminary plat with a bunch of variances on it without having taken action on the variances. So this is their land plan, so it's kind of as close to preliminary plat at this stage that we have. So it's, we can definitely ask more questions and ask them to provide some more info for it. But you are correct. So we'll come back, preliminary plat will come back to this group, final plat will come back to this group, and then council still has to get the final approval of the variances, approval of development agreement, plats, and the construction plan. So there's a lot of steps to go before they get too far. They need some assurance on the variances.
I think we just discussed it. I think we're all on the same page.
Okay, I make a motion that we recommend approval of the variances subject to incorporation of no parking in the alleyways.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Who did the second?
I did.
For the recommendation to the city council for the variances requested related to the minimum lot size, frontage, side yard setbacks for the village of Montgomery, and noted the no parking in the alleyway.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Number 9 has been approved. Item 10, consideration of possible action by the Planning and Zoning Commission on the preliminary plat approval extension for Section 2 of the Lone Star Ridge single-family development.
That on April 8th, 2024, P&Z approved the plat for Lone Star Ridge, Section 2. His approval of preliminary plat is good for 1 year. That 1 year passed, and then the earlier ordinances, you're allowed to request, developers allowed to request a one-time, 1-year extension of the preliminary plat. And so in your packets, you'll see a copy of a letter from us citing that rule of the 12-month extension. There's only one allowed. You cannot go past 2 years without going back through the process. And
section 1 now, correct?
Correct. Yeah, section 1 is moving forward. WSND plans will be on council agenda for approval next week. So right now, they've been approved to do the master area
Okay, that's- yeah.
which is out there. They have approval on the retaining wall plans for that section, and that their development agreement was modified to account for that.
Yep.
And now, based on the timing of development, they need to on section 2. They're not proposing any changes to what was approved, just re-approval on it. It still has to come back to all final approval. That's where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, the construction date hasn't even changed. Is this a recommendation or approval?
This is recommendation, or this is approval. So the preliminary plans will be approved by the commission. So this is approval of the 1-year extension to April 8th, 2026. So 1 year from 2 years from
I'll make a motion that we approve the extension of the preliminary plat for Section 2 of Lone Star Ridge Single Family Development
1 year.
by 1 year. Yes.
I second motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission on the preliminary plat extension, section 2 of the Lone Star Ridge Single Family Development. Extension will be of 12 months. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible action by the Planning and Zoning Commission on the preliminary plat for Legacy Grove, formerly known as Heritage Grove, Section 1.
All right. Sorry, on page 106 in your packets. I will see a copy of letter from us regarding the preliminary plat submission for Legacy Grove, Section 1. This is the tri-point development over behind Mid-South, Napa, all the way, what was referred to as the Keenan Stewart tract from 105 to 405. So what this preliminary plat includes is 65 lots over 49.8 acres. The minimum lot size on this is roughly 15,000 square feet, so 0.36 acres is the smallest lot within this proposed development. Most of them have a width of 95 feet or greater, so these are large lot, large lot development that's being proposed. So there's no variances requested on this property, no variances needed. Where they are in the process is they have petitioned and been annexed into the city for the section that was out. They are in the process of creating a BUD over this property to help finance some of the infrastructure. And so this, if you look on the sheets, you'll see the layout of the proposed development. And this is approval of the preliminary plat. It just tells them that everyone's on the same page, allows them to start working on the final plat. They've also submitted, and we expect to have plans ready for approval for planning and zoning, for council for Legacy Grove, Section 1.
Pretty straightforward. I recommend approval of the preliminary plat for Legacy Grove.
Is this the one that he wanted to do an overpass in? Is this that development?
There is a bridge over Town Creek, but I believe it's box culverts, the road.
What is it?
Culverts, large box, I think they're 6 by 6, if I remember. Large boxes underneath for the creek crossing. That creek crossing is not part of this phase, that will be section 2. So this is the northern end, section 2 will be the southern end, toward 105.
So section 2 is where this will come into play.
It's the crossing.
There are crossing boxes in the master area.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of the preliminary plat for Legacy Grove, Section 1. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Item 11 passes. Number 12, discussion and update on development status and proposed variance related to individual septic systems for Mia Largo Reserve Development.
All right, I think this is the last item. No, it's not. Second to last item for me today. So this development, so again, end of last year, we did a feasibility study. It was presented to this commission on October the 1st of last year. This is for what's called the Mia Largo Reserve Development, which at the time was located in the city of Conroe, ETJ, at the end of Mia Largo Drive by Lone Star Bank. So since then, the developer has petitioned and been released from the city of Conroe's ETJ. So now the city is able to annex and provide service to the property. So they are working through that step. This draft MOU was presented at the last council meeting. Council also agreed to proceed with preparing the final MOU for approval for this development. So that's the update on it. What this development includes is 51 3/4 acre lots. They're proposing public water in private septic systems per each lot. And that's really the main part of the development agreement itself, or excuse me, the MOU. There's not a lot to it. You see, it's a 4-item agreement. One of those talks about where the property is. That it would be annexed into the city, public water by the city, and they would provide private on-site sewer per each lot. So this is only for discussion tonight, is to get your feedback. We will not be able to take approval on variances until they annex the property, since it's not in your jurisdiction to do so. However, again, kind of the whole premise of the MOU is for the city and developer to agree to the general terms, agree to what's going to be required, and one of the big factors for them is obviously the second variance to serve as development. So with that, in your packets, you'll see that MOU. You'll also see a copy on page 119 of your packets, a copy of the land plan that they are currently proposed.
Chris, how many acres are currently in the city and how many are going to be annexed? You know?
I do not have the exact number, but of the 74 acres, probably at least 73 are outside the city.
Oh, wow.
It's a very small sliver, so
It's just a little part.
yeah, just the very corner of the property.
So the majority of it's already in the city?
The majority is not.
Oh, it's okay.
Correct.
Is it a money issue to extend the force main to an on-site lift station for this developer? Or is it just, is it economically to do that type of sewer system? Or why are they opposed to,
I'll let Jonathan kind of jump in on this, but as far as the engineering feasibility, it is feasible to provide a force main or a lift station, gravity sewer system, force main to serve the property. Obviously, it is more expensive. They're building a large lot. So, Mia Largo development is the same situation where they have private septic on public water. So that's the existing neighborhood right in front. All you need to kind of fill in the gaps.
So they did explore the idea of doing an on-site sewer collection system with the lift station and force main. Those costs are costs that roughly are going to be like $500,000 or more than if they did individual septic systems per house, I believe, with the minimum rating. So they do want to cater to a larger lot, 3/4 acre lot minimums that meets the county requirements for public water distribution system with the septic system. And so they want to cater to those 3/4 acre. They did try to incur some extra costs for those kind of sewer collections. They probably go to a little bit smaller, and maybe it will still meet your lot minimums, but they wouldn't to exceed the lot minimums for what the house that they want to go from. So it's more just for sales for them. That's the kind of the market they want to cater towards. They weren't interested in families going in smaller. Those are things that they've still discussed, but this time they still want to go with septic systems.
How much of a drain field is required for each?
Typically, they're spraying, so that the road systems can be able to discharge different ways, sprayer or drip. Typically, there's only times it's a size of septic system, but 500 or 600 gallon per day system is probably capable of recommend that we.
Because it seems like while they've been developing over there and everything, after the hard rain, that place holds water. There's a lot of standing water over there.
There is like a pond on the northern end. I think we've got sent a letter from the northern developer houses just to make sure that we do capture the drainage, which we're about 95% design. We just have to go through the proper steps before we can finish that up. But we do have adequate vein systems for our drainage ditches and we need to get the canal that's been excavated. Coordinated with just SRA and Montgomery County to verify that there's not actually any on-site detention if the canal is considered SRA jurisdiction, I guess you can say. SRA is just want to make sure that we handle our sills during construction, post-construction.
So I have a question about the septic systems. But you think the lot's big enough for a spray system? We don't have to put in drip systems in?
The spray should be fine. The state actually allows half acre for a minimum, so the county has an alternate requirement of 0.75.
Of course, you know, these systems require so much yearly maintenance. They have a maintenance contract.
2-year maintenance contract.
And things go wrong. And if they use a spray system, they got to be chlorinated. Anybody who hasn't bought a bucket of chlorine tablets lately?
Yeah, so you're actually required, requires you to submit a 2-year maintenance contract. Right. Maintenance. So that's do 2 years, and they're required to submit yearly TSS DOT results to the county. And if you don't do that, the county will.
And one of the council's comments to the MOU was making it clear that this is, we don't want, the residents and the developer today said septic, and in 15 years from now, the developers have a picture and all the residents want to get on the sewer system. So that was one of the things that council requested as part of the agreement, is that it is recorded that the city will not provide sewer in the future. We made a decision for septic, we're not going to go back later. Try to recognize.
It hasn't been too many years ago, you know, that Conway went through and forced everybody to give their septic tanks. Of course, they were conventional septic tanks. And then Conroe charged them $5,000 to tie in, and then there was a lawsuit, and then they lost that, back and forth. So it's pretty messy. I mean, I'm for putting the sewer system in and forgetting all the septic systems.
What's the remaining approval process for the septic systems?
So typically, when they go, so to even buy the property, we have to submit a septic feasibility study to the county. So we have to actually do like an example lot buying plan of an example house, show the actual setbacks, show kind of an example septic system design with all the appropriate setbacks to prove up that can be done on every lot. So that's something that also just teases that yes, these lots are developable for single family housing. But then once they pull their house permit, they do a house permit. Imagine this would be through the city. The city probably doesn't review septic, so defer to the county, so that they can submit that to the county. The county would issue their septic permit through their environmental department, and then they go through their inspection.
Do you anticipate any problems with the houses that are backed up to the waterway?
No. We have to make sure through that septic feasibility study that all lots can work. And typically, there are 0.75 acres clear of like floodway ponds. If they have a pool, they put that plot in there to make sure that they have a setback for a pool. The drip system setback is different than a spray system setback for a pool. Same thing for your building, or if they have a pond or a canal, floodplain. They all have their different setbacks for the different types of aerobic system that they propose. So they are constrained if you go to a drip system rather than a spray system, which will save them. It's about a quarter of the size and the area that you need for drip and spray.
This item back just discussion and feedback. Council did not offer strong objection to these septic systems. So a lot of your y'all are not one of your y'all's opinions on whatever y'all's decision. To allow them to go forward. And, again, this isn't approval of the variance. I think asking for things like a copy of the septic feasibility study prior to approval of that variance is something that you can definitely ask for.
the feasibility study will examine the different types of the drip and the spray and pools and the homes that are going to be behind these homes that are going to have the septic system right up to them?
We typically take one or two prototypes, if you will, for the lot, that, whether they have maybe a drainage easement on the side that helps capture some of the off-site flow through the lot, so it's a little bit strange. You put an example house plan on it, you show what those septics could look like. Now, if somebody comes in and, the developer is the builder, so they're going to propose houses that they can actually do a septic system on. It's not like they're going to sell to somebody who's going to go put a 10,000 square foot house that doesn't work. So they're kind of controlling that a little bit. But what they'll do is, if that homeowner does want a pool, you'll have to make that, right off the bat. And I do think there's disclosures that says that they understand that it's going to be on a septic system. And then if they do want a pool, like they would have to consult, they've got a septic system that's put in, they put a pool in 10 years later. They're going to have to go back and deal with the sanitary or PE that will show how they can modify, if at all, that they can modify their septic system to accommodate the pool.
Are they going to back up to any homes right now? Is there a situation where
There's
it's...
a subdivision to the north, along the north line. I think it's Bodart. Yeah, and I mean, those are large lots, and so like some of those have some recreation lawns and stuff like that.
I'm sure all those are septic.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think they're well, I think.
Well, that's,
There is a water district up to the north, but I don't recall if they actually serve that area, but the section to the south is just going to be now to the north, there's nothing, just like I said, it's the...
And now that runoff's going to go into the canal or anything like that?
If anything offsite, we convey everything and actually discharges to the canal, so we'll have to get, I do have like SRA preliminary saying, yes, it's our jurisdiction. This is what we want to look at. I got an email from the county saying that they, as long as SRA is okay, we won't require attention from you. Obviously, if we're getting the ancient city, the city will be able to confirm the same.
Doesn't the design of the septic requirement take into consideration the number of occupants in the house?
Bedrooms and bathrooms.
Okay, number of bedrooms and bathrooms.
Yeah, I think it goes up to like, again, it's a very long time. I think these could be up to 3,500 square foot homes, just given how big these lots are, but I do think like there's a 3,500 square foot limit at 4+ bedroom, so that could be like 750 counts.
I recently went through the process of putting a aerobic system in on a 1 acre lot, small house. And the first thing I had to do to get a permit was to go to the Montgomery County Health Department and apply for a permit. And then I had to hire an engineer to come out and decide where the house was at, where the system should go, and how it worked with that particular piece of property. That was $400 up front or something like that, pretty quick. And like I say, just to maintain that system is you got to have the engineering certificate, you got to have the chlorine tablets had, and it's all very expensive to keep it up and running. And so I had to go through a permitting process, and that included a moisture, what do you call it, soil
Yeah, so
moisture
we're going to just
a test, yeah.
dig a hole, find out what kind of soil it is. So if it is spray, the soil type doesn't actually matter. It's based on absorption. Your system is based on the...
Yeah, this was a spray on a 1 acre lot.
I just bought it right here, half in front of the building.
Yeah.
I gotta do something.
I just want to make sure the runoff or anything from the septic system spraying, moving, or whatever, going in any type of water that would be feeding fish where people fish or anything like that, or I just want to make sure that that feasibility is provided to us. In other words, if you're going to just do one of your plots where you're going to build a home or whatever, do one over there where it's close to the house or close to the canal so we can see what the feasibility is.
We certainly can. I do think in council actually asked if they could speak on an example of a developer and builders that they can do that, or I can do that as well. I'll just put an example house on it with where those springs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in that because people that are doing something uphill, you may not know what's downhill.
Yeah, so just for, it's about 12,000 square foot, is about how much spray you would need for 500 gallons per day for a house that'd be a fairly large house. If it drifted, it'd be about 3,500, 3,000 square feet. We did do, there are some lots that kind of lead up against also do a H&H study that actually shows that floodplains, that canal was dug a long time ago. It obviously changed floodplain quite a bit. So some of the lots that are against the floodplain that would think that it would have some conflicts with that floodplain is actually a lot further in. So I do have an H&H study that's going to provide to the city at that point as well. But we've had those are some logical constraints that we're sure there's.
And I'm interested in the canal, too. The canal, is it close to a canal where there's water already?
There's a very large canal that's on the south end of that property. It's kind of where Lago, that first section is, where they go, like spillway that's into it, and that actually goes all the way to the lake. It's all excavated all the way to the lake. It just stays wet.
I just have a kid that fishes in there, and I was like, yeah, I just don't want to mess up the fisher.
There's some survey there. There's alligators that prevent them from getting a lot of cases.
Yeah,
And
just
that's
want to make sure.
all SJRA?
Yes, so SRA, we have overlooked, and then they actually got rights. If they have access to a 201 contour, that is their jurisdiction.
And you're cool with, see, we're right there. Like, they're
We
fine.
actually, with them, because they're in the model, they have to review the septic as well. At that point, they have to submit to the SRA.
And who's keeping up with all this? Like, who's doing, I mean, so at any point, we could say, hey, show us this.
I
And
mean, there's always multiple companies involved in it.
Okay.
I can't give you the answer, but I'd be able to track it down.
But there's a lot of moving parts,
So I
right?
think that, part of your approval of the variances and approval of construction plans for the rest of this can be contingent upon receipt of
Okay.
SRA approval,
Okay.
receipt of the county approval of the feasibility study. I cannot speak for Ray or Tilly, but, part of the building permit, when they go pull the building permits, they have to show their permit for septic.
Okay.
So there's a lot of steps to make sure that they're doing that. Now, the hard part is obviously the maintenance. The city is not going to have, and does not have the staff, nor, is the intent that the city is keeping up, that they have their maintenance records, and that they're doing that, in perpetuity. That's going to fall back on.
But did they have, does the homeowner and all that, all that goes, permitting goes basically through the county health department? Do they have scheduled inspections that they have to meet to keep that up to code?
You're required to have a quarterly inspection by a approved firm, a sanitation company, septic company, that then submit those reports to the county.
Then you're also required to always have it. If you're a maintenance contractor, you're always supposed to have it. So when it lapses, you're technically required to have a new.
So we can go to public records and look up if we want to.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's 1,000 people that have let those lapse. And,
Yeah, I was just wondering how we're going, the checks and balances, because we're growing so much, and it's going to be a different sewer system than someone else, and they're going to, you just don't know what the reaction's going to be to the surrounding residents, so.
There's still a long process to go through here.
Yeah.
Here and you develop agreement annexation, you get to see the plat, the variance will come to you officially. We've got to provide them far access to these city lots. I had an email from the forest that bulwark access to this line within. There's a lot of those things that we're still working on to show you. SRA, system stuff.
And the wording in the ordinance states, quote, "No plat may be approved with an on-site sewer facility unless no alternative source is available."
That's the variance that we're seeking. I think there's two ordinance that we were seeking. It was, I can't remember what it was. I think one was that one, and then another one said that I think that we're required to connect to the.
But the feasibility study says there is an alternative source.
There is, but they're seeking, they want to cater to 3/4 acre lots. They want to do what the development adjacent then, that's what they're seeking, that's the product they would like to do. I think they went to collection, they would say, okay, well, maybe we go to 75-foot lot minimums or something different, have a higher density product, so they can make up that additional cost. I'm not saying that's exactly what they do, but that is an alternate. If they've got to, you see those increased costs, that's what they ask you to be able to see how they can,
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
13, consideration possible action on the acceptance of the biannual water and wastewater land use assumptions.
All right, now last item. Two documents are passed out in front of you. One is what was last time, and the second one is, so just background for, obviously, the city has impact fees. Impact fee requires that the capital impact advisory committee, y'all, does a review of the land use assumptions and the capital improvement plan bi-annual basis. So last fall, we did a review. There were updates recommended at that time, and those updates were made and adopted and put into work, so it updated the impact fees. We're now 6 months down the road, so as well as there have been a couple of annexations that have occurred, so the land use assumptions have changed. Also, lots of things continues to change and escalate, and the timing of improvements continues to change as well. So what is in front of you on this sheet is what y'all saw last time. So again, the way that this ordinance was written, for your impact fees, land use assumption is based off of your zoning map, not future land use, because that wasn't an adopted table, this is what your zoning is. So the things that have changed are highlighted in red, or kind of bubbled in red on here. You have the annexation of the Legacy Road property. You have the annexation of the Montgomery Crossing property, and then continued development and kind of refinement and changes to the CTE Center, Lone Star Ridge, and Briarwood development as they're working through that process. So the updated form in front of you is a 2025, this one, shows that updated zoning based on the annexation. One thing that is important to note, the property we just talked about, being on development, is not included in here as it has not been annexed. So again, assuming that all moves forward, that will be another land use assumption change that will come back as we continue to work through this process. So one thing we did a little bit different on this table that doesn't necessarily impact your land use assumptions is we added this table at the top, just to good kind of give you an understanding of where things stand. So the total 3,900 or so acres that are within the city limits, you have approximately 1,400 undeveloped, 1,053 developed, 835 developing, and about 120 that are in floodway, floodplain, et cetera, that aren't really developable. So, you know, that's obviously a significant amount of development. We have 1,000 acres developed and 835 developing. There's a lot there. So that's what those different hatchings show on this map is what is developing, what is developed, and then the stuff that is unhatched are the existing properties developed in the city. So there's a lot of moving pieces. So plan tonight is you agree with our assumptions. Again, it's based on your zoning map, so there's not a lot of leeway in it. Kind of just understanding what we will do is we will go and update your impact fee table. We've actually done most of that work, and what happened is the overall, we're projecting an additional 3,500 connections over a 10-year period. Last time, we're still around that same 3,500. It just moved a little bit, so a lot of things have moved earlier in that time frame, and then some things moved off. So the total is still around the same, but obviously had plan and costs has gone up. So we do expect to be presenting to you all a proposed impact fee increase at your next meeting for consideration.
Could you give us a status on the overall water improvement?
So you have a bunch of different projects going on. So right now, you're in design of the wastewater treatment plant expansion. So that is, we're expecting the first round of reports here the next week, 2 weeks. To do that, we're also waiting on the final permit for that, which should be obtained also by the end of this month. It's been sitting in the state for a long time. That design is supposed to be wrapped up this fall to start bidding and construction early next year. The water plant projects, so you have 3 different ones that are ongoing. You have your water plant 2 improvements, which upsizes the water well over here. That well's been dug in here, I think, the 9th. So next week, they start their pump test and developing that well to get it going for 36 hours that replaces a failed 300 gallon per minute well. They propose, we'll see the final test show 500 or so gallon per minute well, as well as replace background storage tank to help with capacity. Water tank number 3 has a booster pump addition that we are waiting on environmental review because it's being funded by the ARPA funds. And so they have to go through environmental reviews because it's federally funded. And even though it's an existing site that's developed, the pump next to the other pump, still has to go through environmental review. So that, once we have that environmental, it'll bid out, so that will be in construction. Probably carry the equipment this summer, so it'll be construction in the fall. And then the last project is the water plant number 4, so the new water plant with proposed elevated storage tank on the far west side of the city. That we're in negotiations with the engineering firm on the final design cost. And then also we're looking at some alternatives to see if we can buy us a little bit more time on the elevated portion of that project to go ahead and get the well and the other facilities in place. So a lot of moving pieces, a lot of development. So one thing that we're doing right now is we have, because there's so many new developers, we're going through finer detail on our projections to bring those back with the capital impact at the same time on a quarterly basis as these developments are coming in to kind of show over time where that capacity falls in terms of projected growth.
So you're confident that our rate of improvement of the water sources is going to keep up or ahead of the development?
It is like, that is the goal for sure, keeping a close eye on it. We have, we're still sitting at 55% or so of our sewer capacity. Water plant capacity, we're in a good spot today. There's, as we talked about, 834 acres developing. It's a lot of homes and a lot of ones that we just talked about. One thing also is we have seen in urban developers is home sales have slowed. So Montgomery again has pushed their future sections back now, I think, to potentially late summer to start section 3. Where originally they were going to start already in construction of section 3. So home sales are slowing a little bit, which helps, but it is close. And so we have a special meeting with the council coming up in a few weeks to go through some funding options. Because the impact fees get us a good amount of way there, but there's still funds to come up with. So there's a lot of pieces in the works. I don't remember if I mentioned this group or not. We also submitted to Texas Water Development Board for funding with them. Our applications were approved for the first round. So now they're working through that process, which are some low interest loans from that part. So it's being attacked on multiple fronts. Kind of long-winded answer of we are right on the line and staying ahead with contingencies. Obviously, we like to have a little bit of fluff in our projections and not be going around it, keeping a close eye on it for sure. And that's one thing that as we're developing these development agreements, we might put some triggers and some timelines of you can do the first 40 lots, but section 2 needs to wait until beyond this time. But we're going through that.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we accept the biannual water and wastewater land use assumption.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for acceptance of the biannual water and wastewater land use assumptions. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Item 13 passes. 14, consideration of possible action on the regular meeting minutes of April 1st, 2025.
Make a motion, we accept the regular meeting minutes of April 1st, 2025 as published.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second for the acceptance of the regular meeting minutes of April 1st, 2025. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there any commission inquiry or anybody have anything?
We need to sign those forms.
Yeah, what is?
So I put in front of you a public access form, and it's something that you guys should have on file, so if a citizen doesn't open up a request and it's got your information in it, we can legally
I don't know if y'all got these emails, but I had emails from, they said there was a resident in town, too, wanting to know information about different properties or whatever. I might be able to pull that up maybe after the meeting or show you. I didn't respond to any of them because I didn't know who they were. But how, is this saying that, I mean, do they have access to our city email?
No, that's a public access option form. It's something that we just keep on file for you. So if there is someone who does an open records request, those following items that are on there, the AG's office says that we can withhold that information.
Okay. But should they have my email
Your
address?
city email address?
Yes.
It's public.
Is it public? Okay.
You want them tonight?
Yes, that, if you
Okay.
can get those, that's fine.
Can I borrow your pen?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Up that one.
All right.
I'll second his motion.
Delayed reaction.
Got a motion and a second for the adjournment of the May 5th, 6th P&Z meeting. All in favor? Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 7:53.
That uses my brain a lot.